What's up, guys? It's Raymond here. I'm going to talk about traits that women look for in a partner. So in this video I'm going to talk about heterosexuals, not necessarily other forms of sex, but mainly heterosexual partnerships. So I'm going to be doing another video next, which is going to be traits that males look for in a mate. But this video is going to be based on traits that females look for in a mate, in a partner anyway. So I talk a lot about genetics and reproduction, survival of the fittest, Charles Darwin, a lot of that stuff in my previous videos, because I'm starting to grow on that theory of evolution, survival of the fittest and stuff like that. But anyway, back to the main point. I want to talk about traits that females look for in terms of finding a partner to reproduce with. I'm not going to talk about dating or anything like that, but I've actually done quite some studies in this field and in this field of inquiry, so I feel that I'm just regurgitating whatever I've heard. To what extent it's true, it's been based on scientific experiments, so you can do your research if you want, wherever it may be, but let me get straight into the video. So according to some scientific experiments that have been recently done, the most important trait that a male can have in terms of a heterosexual female looking for a partner is their height. This could be shocking, or not shocking to some people, but their height is the most important thing because it displays dominance, health, success, etc., protection, the ability to protect the female and the family, etc. These connotations could be outdated, and I definitely think they are outdated. Being tall doesn't necessarily mean you're able to protect, or but necessarily mean you're successful, etc. But I mean, these are archaic theories and mindsets and beliefs that have been promoted by nature. So I can't exactly disagree, or I can't necessarily refute it. So they're in our heads, so we have to deal with it. So being tall is definitely the most important thing. I think the average height difference between males and females in heterosexual relationships, the difference that is healthy anyway, is a minimum of 5 inches. So the female must be at least 5 inches shorter than the male for the female to be satisfied, for both the female and the male to be satisfied in terms of the minimum requirement for height difference. So yeah, so that is one thing that the top of the list for what a female looks for in terms of a mate height. So the second thing I believe is I don't know what the rank is in particular in specifics. I don't know the rank. I only know that the number one factor is height, but I know that the other factors. I know that being a caring person and displaying this ability to care for especially children and innocent lives, that being the elderly, that being pets like dogs, animals, and stuff like that, children, displaying this characteristic trait is definitely attractive to females, because they want. It's not necessarily only the dominant male that is able to mate. If a female sees a sign of weakness, which might be being able to care. Some people might not describe this as a weakness, but in the scientific field of inquiry, it is described as a weakness, or a submissive trait, not necessarily weakness, a submissive trait, being able to care. It's usually the females that undergo this, that carry this burden of being able to take care of the offspring and being more caring, being more empathetic and stuff like that. So if a male displays this could be very attractive to females, because they might be able to take care of the kids if the woman decides to do the work, or it's just a positive trait in general, because it's an asset when it comes to the family, because they'll be able to take care of the kids together. So this is definitely a positive trait. They've done an experiment as to a man carrying some puppies in his hands, and the difference as to whether somebody helps the guy to open his car door to put the puppies in the so he can put the puppies inside the back seat, as opposed to him putting the puppies on the floor and then getting his keys out of his pockets and then opening the door to put them inside. He didn't want to put them on the floor. I don't know why. Maybe they were too young and he didn't want to damage their feet. But anyway, the experiment was concluded, and the results show that as opposed to the guy holding watermelons in his hands and asking for help from strangers to help him to get his keys out of his pocket to put the melons in the back seat, as opposed to having puppies in his hands, I think it was almost over 50% of people that decided to help when he had the puppies in his hands, and there was a lot of them were females that decided to help. I think he targeted females, but a lot of them were females that decided to help because they saw they could relate to it. They felt more sympathetic to him, and they saw a caring nature in this, and they wanted to promote that trait. But anyway, back to the main point. Those are two of the traits that females look for in terms of finding a mate. Another one could be experiments have been done on this actually. A chiseled jaw, a very wide and chiseled jaw, shows dominance to an extent. I don't feel like in the practical world it actually does show dominance, but I guess back in the day it displayed some form of dominance. But this is the chiseled jaw, the wide jaw, chiseled jaw, and very striking faces associated with very bony face, less fat, is associated with dominance. Maybe it shows less fat and leanness. I mean, women like lean men. That's another trait as well. Being lean, being quite slim, not necessarily slim, but having a low percentage of body fat is another healthy thing. Maybe it shows the ability to move effectively. Maybe it shows health as well. But in today's world, I'm sure that we agree that being slim doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthy. I mean, there's a lot of drug addicts and things that people that smoke weed on a daily basis, multiple times a day, that lose body fat just purely for the fact that they don't eat much, but they smoke, and that burns a lot of fat. So anyway, back to the main point. Those are 4 traits that I've mentioned just now, which is height, striking face, especially a wide chiseled jaw, lean body mass, which is the minimum amount of body fat, and showing the signs of being able to care. I think those are the main majority. I think those are the main aspects of what women look for. Being amongst a lot of men is definitely a thing, especially men that look like subordinates, because they look like they're looking up to you. Which is kind of like social proof. It shows to women that you are somebody that society looks up to, especially males. So, and that's number 5. Hygiene is definitely one of the most important. They were doing another experiment which shows that women, it was kind of like an auction. I don't necessarily agree with it. It was kind of like, it kind of reminded me of slavery, but it was an experiment for science. But it was an auction for males, but it was just an experiment as to see how much women were likely to spend, or how much they were willing to spend on a male. They used 5 different males as experiments, and the first male displayed submissive body language with his head low, showing very confined body language, showing signs of somebody that might be isolated, somebody that might have developed these traits as he grew up, and that was the extreme end of one end of the spectrum. The other extreme end was somebody that was well groomed, was wearing a suit, was quite tall, chiseled jaw, nice hair, and everything, and the difference was, I think, over 200% more likely that the women were likely to choose the one on the extreme end, which was the dominant male, the one that showed dominant body language and well groomed and everything like that, as opposed to the one on the extreme end, which showed submissive body language. Over 200%. That is a crazy statistic. So what you want to do is you want to be well groomed and stuff like that. Go to the gym, keep your hygiene up, be presentable. Wearing a suit definitely increases the chances as well. Another experiment, what they done is that a guy who was a university professor in politics, what they done is they put him in as a mannequin. They displayed him as a mannequin inside a shop, a store, and they asked bystanders, especially women, how attractive would they rate him on a scale of 1 to 10. One of the women at first, when he was wearing his normal clothes, said he is -1, which was crazy. They thought he was 48 years old when he's actually, I think, 30 something. And when he wore, they changed his outfit. They got a fashion designer to change his outfit to a suit and to glasses, blacked out shades, and the average before was of what they rated him out of 10 was, I think, 3.5, and the average afterwards was 5.5. So it went up by 2, which is a whole lot of digits. So and a few comments were made that he's very sexy, but before they were saying that he's very they will never date him and stuff like that. So there's definitely a change showing that displaying your economic worth by wearing a suit. A lot of the comments afterwards when he was wearing a suit was that they feel like he's very rich, that he earns a lot of money. I think the average difference between how much they estimate he earned per year was 20,000, but before and after he was wearing a suit. So definitely displaying your economic prosperity by wearing a suit is definitely a good peacock technique to attract females. Some people might see this as manipulation, but women wear makeup, so you can't really say anything about that. But anyway, that's definitely traits females look for in males. I'm gonna end the video because I don't want to drag on too long, but thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.